Welcome back to the KFit Show. I am on location at the Physiology Lab at the University of Victoria with the newest Master of Science in Kinesiology, Matheus Mistura. How does that sound?
That sounds amazing, man.
That sounds
good, right?
great.
Yeah, finally.
Finally.
2.5 years.
2.5 years.
It was good.
I remember the first time I saw my name with the MSc behind it. It was actually on the UVic website. I was like, oh shit, I did that.
That's important.
That's
That's good.
Have you written your name yet with the MSc?
Yeah, I did. I changed my
emails.
email signature
Yes,
and stuff.
you did.
So I
You did.
That's why I did this.
That's right.
Just for the title.
Well, we appreciate you coming on and being on the show again, returning guest, another returning guest on the show here. So we do appreciate it, especially since you have what? About 13 hours, 14 hours
left here
in
Victoria.
Canada. In Canada.
Yes.
Well, yeah, because you're flying back to Brazil.
I fly back to Brazil and then fly back to Canada.
That's right. So you fly back to Brazil for the Christmas holidays.
Yes.
And then to Ottawa for the next adventure. And the next
adventure, and let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens. No, that's awesome. Now let's talk a little bit first about Brazil. You're going back to Brazil. You're here tonight. 24-hour flight, 25?
25.
Total travel.
It depends. I just got a weather alert from Atlanta that might change the flights and stuff.
Oh,
so
really?
Who knows? But it's supposed to be 26 hours, I guess.
Yeah. And then here in Victoria, it's starting to get a little chilly. And there's scraped some ice off my car here this morning. Brazil, it's warm, obviously. It's summer, right?
Yeah, my parents, they said that it's a little bit colder, like 26 degrees.
Oh, only 26?
Yeah, so it's getting cold.
Oh, that must suck.
So I'm like, okay, I'm good with that.
That's totally, yeah. It's like 6 degrees. 6 degrees, something like that. And you were saying that Christmas is like a big deal in Brazil.
It's a big deal. It's like for at least 2 weeks, all the restaurants and things are closed, and people just go to the beach or mountains just to enjoy the holidays.
Yeah, what the mountain for not snowboarding, obviously.
Not snowboarding. No, it's just mountains.
Just mountains, just to go hike or whatever.
Yeah.
Did you get up the mountains here, like Mount Washington or anything like that?
No, I went to Whistler.
You went to Whistler.
Whistler,
yeah.
It's even better. That's even better. That's funny.
Did you try snowboarding or skiing?
I didn't. I know. I mean, it's just like it's not something that a Brazilian needs to do. We didn't grow up doing that, so it's like I don't know. I like my art, so I don't want to break it.
Yeah, fair. You were in Victoria for 3 years total?
Almost 3 years. I got here September 2015. So just 2 years in.
Okay. What was what are you gonna miss the most from Victoria?
Oh, the weather, the nature.
The nature?
The people here.
Yeah. So that's what everybody says.
It's gonna be hard to live here.
Yeah.
I mean, just playing when I'm coming back already.
Yeah. Well, we'll welcome you with open arms for sure. What was your favorite thing you did in Victoria?
Oh, I love Hadley Castle.
Hadley Castle, yeah.
That's beautiful. And to go to Botanical Beach and those places, it's just so good.
Yeah, so many nice locations, and of course, Binfort Burger Lounge.
Binfort Burger, that's the favorite. That's what I'm gonna miss.
Shout out to Binfort Burger.
Yes, guys, you know how to do a burger.
Yeah, that's right. All right, well, enough of the dirty there. Let's get into a little bit about your research because, like I said, you just finished your Master's of Science in Kinesiology. You're a nutritionist back from Brazil, so your research here in Victoria at UVic was based around, and you can kind of fill me in on this, using or looking at vegetable consumption in the cafeterias on campus. Is that correct?
That's it. So what we try to do is we try to increase the purchase of vegetables in young adults, like first-year students at the cafeteria here at UVic, but we use a different approach than like just giving a discount, for example.
Right.
We use an approach called nudge.
Nudge, okay, what's a nudge? Explain what that
means. Nudge, it's pretty much how we have this thing called choice architecture. So choice architecture is how you manipulate the environment, the microenvironment where this person is doing the choice. Okay. And you're going to manipulate this choice, this environment to make this person buy something that you want.
Give them a little nudge.
Give them a little nudge.
A little nudge. Incentive. That's not incentive, but maybe a little bit of a hint to maybe get more.
That's a perfect.
So what was your nudge? Like what was it that you did?
So before we doing the actual research, we did some survey with the students, and we talked to the cafeteria guys to see, okay, what what drives people's choice here, what's important here.
For vegetables specifically?
For vegetables specifically, yeah. So we thought that would be cost, because cost is usually what
drives
students' choice,
yeah.
especially students that they are on a budget. But for us here, it was freshness of vegetables.
That's what they said.
That's what they said, yeah.
Really?
So that was the main reason why they're going to purchase a vegetable. And if you go to any hot table, you're going to see that they only have cooked vegetables.
Right,
and
steamed or whatever.
Yeah, steamed. So when you look at those, they're not very appealing, you know, because they can cook, they start losing the color.
Yes.
So what we did, we just increased the variety, and we had a choice of crudités, so broccoli, cauliflower, carrot.
In the cafeteria,
in the hot table. Yeah.
Hot, so still steamed.
It's not steamed because it was on this cold area.
Okay.
At the buffet, but it's we had another choice.
Okay, so you added these vegetables.
Yeah.
So another choice of vegetables for them to take, fresher, maybe more appealing to the eye. And then was there something involved in posters too?
And then we had a poster. So that's on nudging. We have different categories of nudging.
Okay.
For example, you add in a vegetable, that's considering a priming, because you're not saying anything. You're just putting something there.
Right.
That you're gonna increase like their attention for that new thing.
Okay.
And you're gonna implicitly you're gonna create this wheel of having vegetables on the students.
Okay.
And then we have the poster that's more visual.
Yes.
So it's called salience.
Okay. So what was the picture? What was the poster? What was on it?
So it was like
happy broccoli.
Happy broccoli. Get your jackets here. That was it. Like sunglasses. So rad. You know?
So rad. So rad. The rad broccoli.
Yeah. And then get your vegetables here, $2.
Okay.
And it was like that. And that's the deal with nudging. It has to be easy to apply.
Yes.
It can't be mandatory, or you can't like forbid any option. Because if you're forbidding, like, okay, I'm putting the extra vegetables, but I'm gonna take French fries off.
Right.
So that's like
choice.
It's the only choice, pretty much.
Right.
And so that's not a nudge. So to be considered a nudge, it has to be easy to avoid. Let's say if they don't want to choose that, they don't need to.
Right.
They have other options.
Okay.
And
obviously not influenced by any other factors, right? Other than the nudge.
Yeah. But what happened in a real world setting, it's that you have like natural nudgings occurring.
Yes,
you know?
Sure.
So we had to compete with those other nudging.
Like what? Explain that.
Like let's say position on the hot table.
Okay.
So we know that when the three first foods on a buffet, it's more likely to be chosen. It's like you're gonna compose your plate in 65% of the three first foods on a buffet.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Like from the left, first three type thing.
Yeah.
First three closest to you.
Okay. Yeah, last. And what happened in our study, we couldn't place the fresh vegetables in the first place. They were less on the table.
Ah, interesting.
So that probably had some influence on the choice.
Yes.
And we also had this intersite competition, because cafeteria here at UVic, you have a grill, the hot table, salad bar, and then you have sandwiches. So
and you were on the hot bar with
just a hot bar.
Right.
So we don't know if like, okay, they saw the fresh veggies, but they have a salad bar.
So maybe so you didn't look at that, you just looked at your vegetables.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's something that we didn't have control.
Interesting.
And might have affected the results of our research.
Sure. Do you know what the research is on nudging itself? Like, is there evidence to support nudging to influence somebody's decision?
Yes, there is, because people, they are biased on their daily decisions. We have this dual process theory that was created by Kahneman, and he won a Nobel Prize because of this work. And it's pretty much, we have two ways of doing a decision. We have the system one and the system two. So one is fast and the other one is slow. So the fast one is where you're triggered by these environmental cues. Okay. So it's pretty much, it's 90% of our decisions daily. It's just on a fast-paced environment. So we don't have this ability to stop and weigh out the options to see which one is more important for you or valuable. So of course, most of our decisions on the day, it's based on this fast way of thinking. Yes. And then we have this slow one that, for example, if you have to solve a math problem, you have to think more. Right. And then you're going to use system two.
Yes. Right? And in a university campus cafeteria, I would imagine that the fast choice is pretty dominant, right?
They have what, 30 seconds to make a choice?
Yeah, and usually they're hungry and they want something now, and they're stressed students, so maybe they won't go for the vegetables, they'll probably go for the pizza.
Yeah, especially like during the finals like now.
Yes, yeah.
People just want comfort food.
Yeah, I think there's people writing exams right now.
Yeah, just let's make some noise.
Suckers, suckers. Now, in terms of the actual vegetables, was there anything that went into the vegetables you chose, or you just chose any vegetables, or was there something on the survey that you looked at to see like what people's favorite vegetables were, or anything like that?
That's another deal when we are doing real world research. We have to adapt to everything to what staff manager says.
Oh yes, of course.
So these crudités, they were like the cheapest option to add on the buffet. I tried to change for like bell pepper and stuff like that, like different vegetables.
Sure.
They said no, that's too expensive.
Right.
We can't do that. So that's unfortunate because cost was something that keeps like on our way to do different things. You know?
Sure. Now you said that you also were talking to just first year students, is that right?
Yeah. So we did our research at the Canberra Commons building.
Okay.
So that's close to the clusters at UVic, and it's pretty much by first year students.
Okay.
But we look at young adults, so from 18 to 35 years old.
Okay.
So that was our sample.
Okay, so you had these vegetables on the hot plate. They were at the end of the table. You were what? Were you in like a seat in the corner, keeping an eye on what was going on?
That's it.
And they didn't know you were
just
there?
counting how they knew I was there.
Oh, they knew you were there.
Yeah.
Ah.
We tried to do different.
Sorry, go ahead.
We tried to do different like measurements things, but it didn't work.
Did they know you were watching them? Like, did they know what you were watching?
Yeah. For the first weeks, they were like a little bit, let's say, afraid. Okay, what this guy's doing.
But that crazy guy with the sunglasses doing the corner there with the hood on.
Yeah, just black suit, you know. Yeah, but after a time, it was like they just got curious and they asked, "Hey, buddy, what's you're doing?
What are you doing? Why are you watching me?
What's going on?"
Yeah.
And I had to explain to them.
Okay.
What was my
okay, so they didn't necessarily know, like they could see you obviously, but they didn't necessarily know what you were doing.
No, they didn't.
Okay.
Yeah. So but once they came talk to me,
you had to tell them.
I had to tell them.
Yeah.
So they were no longer blind to the research.
Right.
You know. So that's the deal with real world. You have it's tough, many things going on at the same time that it's just impossible to control all the outcomes.
Yeah. So how many like pieces of data did you use though? Like the people that kind of recognize you still use that data?
Yeah.
So how many total pieces of data did you have?
Wow, that was a lot. It was more than maybe 10,000 meals purchased that we made that.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, that's
over an entire semester.
Yeah, it was during the fall of 2016.
Okay.
That we did. So it was 12 weeks.
Okay.
10 weeks.
10 weeks.
Yeah.
And you were there what, every day?
Every day.
Wow.
Lunch and dinner.
Wow. I remember you were saying, oh, I gotta go do data collection.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but that's okay. That's what I had to do then.
You did it.
I got it.
Okay, so there we go. So we know what you did. What did you find? That's what we want to know. What did you find? You're obviously looking at the vegetable consumption and you know. So were you looking at how much vegetables, or just if they took the vegetables? Or not?
Just if they took the vegetables.
Just if they took
because we didn't have any consumption measurement.
It's hard. Yeah.
Yeah, because you would have to observe people take their plate, wait again after.
Hold on 1 second. Let me look at your plate.
Yeah.
2 servings. All right. Continue.
So that was not feasible at all.
Sure.
So we just look at purchase and we assume that purchase
meant that
they are consuming.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good assumption. So what did you find? What were the results?
It didn't work.
The nudges didn't work.
No, it didn't work.
So the cool little rad broccoli.
It wasn't red enough.
It wasn't rad enough. Needed a sombrero or something.
Yeah, maybe a tequila.
Tequila on his head.
But females, they were more susceptible to the intervention. There was an increase of 3%.
Okay.
Between baseline and intervention period.
3%.
Yeah, that's not that wasn't significant.
Sure.
If we're looking at the stats of the of this work,
but it's an improvement.
It's an improvement, and that's the deal with nudging. Sometimes you don't have a big increase in percentage. Like for example, you had like 3%.
Sure.
But when you look at cost effectiveness, it's much cheaper to apply nudges than applying something else.
Sure.
It requires much more people working on it and people being more involved.
No, that makes sense. And I mean, any increase is good, right? When it comes to vegetables, any is better than none, right?
Yeah, especially in first-year students.
For sure.
That their first time living by themselves. They just want to go crazy and buy cheesies and stuff like
Of
that.
course.
So
that pizza.
yeah.
I remember first year. I remember how that was.
So you know how that goes. You just don't want vegetables. So any increase is important. And then what we did, because we had a single case design, so we didn't have any comparison venue for that. So what we did, we look at visual inspection. So we just look at trend lines, and trend lines, it's you know, the difference in direction of the trends.
Yes. Are they trending upwards in terms of vegetable consumption, or are they trending downwards?
So what we had, like 4 periods. We had a baseline, intervention, re-baseline, where just remove the intervention, and then a re-intervention period.
Okay.
And we saw that during the intervention periods, the trend lines, they were increasing.
Okay. Now, when you say the intervention, that's when the red broccoli was on the wall.
Yeah, and the fresh vegetables.
Okay, I mean that.
And when you don't have the interventions, you have a descending trend line.
Okay.
So that was like.
So it showed it worked.
It worked. Yeah. But then we kept looking at the data. So what we did, we looked at the percentage of non-overlapping data. That's pretty much a different measurement for effect size.
Right. Okay.
So how effective this intervention would be in a bigger set.
Yes.
And what we saw, that even though we had this change in direction of trend lines, we had too much overlapping data. So when you have too much overlapping data, that's not effective.
Right. Okay.
Because, you know, you can
it's
say
not a trend, really.
It's not a trend.
Yes.
So we had such a high variability in our data that it was impossible to say that those change in trend lines, it was effective.
Okay.
So that was a thing in our research.
Sure. So 3% increase still though on the female consumption. Little males. Guys don't care.
Yeah, it was half percent. So.
I feel like in general, women and girls are more inclined to have vegetables and to eat well.
Yeah, I think so.
There's a little bit more stigma on them to look better and to eat healthy and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
so that would probably play the role, the social role. It'd be interesting if you took this study and took it maybe to Brazil. Because I know we talked about this before, where the Brazil, even their food guide, like the Brazilian food guide, is like strong. Like it's a good food guide. Whereas the Canada food guide is pretty nothing. It's almost nothing. Like it could be better, to say the least, right? Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see what would happen if you took this and took it to an already, let's say, healthier country, a healthier population. Put this same study in and just kind of see what happened.
That would be interesting, especially because we don't have. Most of the nudging research, it's been made in first world countries like Netherlands, US, Canada, and Europe overall. Sure. And we don't have that much research in third world countries. So to see how different socioeconomic environments would react to these interventions, that would be really interesting, actually.
Maybe you can take it back when you go to Brazil.
No, you're done. Just want to work on my tan. That's it.
So you got all your data. You did that. You found your results. And then, so as we know, you had to kind of put that together in a thesis, pretty much what you just told us when you do your thesis. And then you had to do what's called your oral defense, your thesis defense. Yeah. So basically, for anybody that doesn't know, thesis defense, after you put together your research, you have to present your research to a panel, in this case, 3 people on your panel, 3 people on your panel, just what you did, certain things that you might have come across that maybe did work, didn't work, and then they kind of grill you a little bit. They ask you some questions, and they kind of try and see, well, why didn't you do this? Maybe you could have done that. And it's a little bit of a stressful situation.
They try to find the fail.
They try to find the spots. Yeah, I remember. It's no fun for sure. How did that experience go? I mean, you had the benefit of watching,
Yeah, I watched like a good guy before.
Yeah, No, how did you feel?
I was so nervous.
Yeah,
like that guy. And
you just want to get it done.
Just want to get it done. And I was like, because my background, I'm a nutritionist.
Yes.
So that's what I did in Brazil. 7 years studying nutrition.
Yes.
And on my panel, they were psychologists.
Okay. Yeah, that's right.
I was like, what they're gonna ask me?
Yeah.
This is pretty much psychology, my whole research, but that's what I know about psychology, and I know a few other things, but I'm no expert in those other things.
Yes.
So I just started looking at social cognitive theory.
Yeah, that's good.
And self-efficacy and these kinds of things.
Yes.
And
Ryan Rhodes was on Dr. Ryan Rhodes was on your panel, right? He's like he's a behavioral psychologist. He's the one you want to talk to,
he's
right?
amazing. He's been developing this new theory. I don't remember the name, but it just tries to like gather everything that you can change behavior and put in one theory. So he's been doing that, and it's been great. So yeah, he was there, and there was this other psychologist that I haven't met before, Dr. Ulrich. He's from the UV psychology department.
Okay.
But the good thing that they weren't experts on behavior economics and energy.
And on your research. That's
on my research, yeah.
About when you go into these type of defenses, nobody knows your research as well as you.
Yes,
so that's what they tell you before you go in, and it does kind of help, and especially when you're in there and they're asking you questions, you can kind of spin it a way that you know that you did in your research and that kind of thing. So, so yeah, that was nerve-wracking. You did it, and what did they say?
It was great. It was much easier than expected.
That's what I
expected, and I could answer pretty much all the questions, and they agree with like what I proposed for the future, what I could have done different to try to make a change. And so it was great. I had great feedback from them that I see that I could do that different in the next opportunity, for example. And I mean, I was expecting much harder than that. You know? And it wasn't. It was a fun time. It was like half an hour and a half. Maybe. So that was it.
It's not too bad. And then they said, great, you passed. You got some, I think you said minor revisions, right? You just have to change your thesis up a little bit, submit it, away you go. And you get those little letters behind your name.
Yeah, that's what happened. It's all done.
It's all done.
Going to Brazil and
partying. You're done.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome, Matheus, and congratulations on that.
Thank you so much.
I know the feeling. It's just so great to feel like I'm done, like I finished it, and that kind of thing. So what's next? What's next for Matheus Mistura? I mean, we know you're going to Brazil. We know you're going to Ottawa. Research-wise, nutrition-wise, what's next?
Because international students like the tuition is more expensive than for Canadians, I'm gonna try to get like a permanent residency card or anything like that to try to go for a PhD
in Ottawa.
In Ottawa to be cheaper.
Sure.
Much cheaper. It's like half price.
Yes.
And maybe it's that, but I also, because in Brazil I was working more in sports nutrition field.
Yes.
So that's one-on-one.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to change, not change the word, but change like a group of people when you're doing one-on-one consultation.
Totally.
You know?
Yes.
So here I saw that nudging, it's not tailored to affect one person, but a group of people.
Okay.
And that's really interesting when we are looking at preventing diseases, preventing obesity, making people exercise more.
Yes.
So I kind of got more attracted to this public health area.
Okay.
And that's kind of
what you're looking at.
Yeah, I'm looking for public health.
That's great. And I think that's super important field. Like obviously for just general population and the health of individuals, that's a really good area to be in.
Yeah.
I think
you feel like useful, you know.
You feel like you're useful.
You're like, okay, I'm doing good for people, so that's great.
Yes.
You know? I felt like that when I had my practice in Brazil, but I feel that I'll feel that even more if I'm doing like this big group of people research and try to change behavior.
And maybe more so in Canada too, because our nutrition standards, like I said, aren't that great.
Aren't that great, yeah. So, and they've been mentioning Brazilian food guidelines for a while, so they might be doing some changes towards that.
So maybe you can head the remaking of the Canada food guide.
I'm not sure about heading, but I would be glad of getting into that and helping them to change that.
No, that's great. 2 quick questions before we let you go. First question, and it just goes back to something you said before, and this is something I've heard before, but I'm not even 100% sure if it's true, and you'll know. It comes down to steaming the dead vegetables. So we talked about steaming vegetables versus raw vegetables. Is there something that happens in terms of losing nutrients, gaining nutrients when you take a raw vegetable and you steam it?
Yes, definitely, because you have those vitamins that they are soluble in water, and then the other ones that are in fat.
Fat soluble, yes.
So when you're gonna cook a vegetable, it's usually water. So you're gonna lose those vitamins to the water.
Water soluble vitamins. Yeah, of course, that makes sense.
Yeah, and that happens. That happens. But you have some vegetables that it needs to be cooked.
Okay.
Like for example, spinach.
Which one? Spinach.
Spinach.
Okay.
Yeah, because they have these anti-nutritional factors.
Okay.
So it's nutrients, it's biocompounds that it's on that leaf that will
become active.
So, for example, spinach, they have phytate. Is that a word?
Phytate?
Yeah, it must be.
Okay, it must be. You said it, it must be.
Yeah, this compound will block like calcium absorption.
When it's raw.
Okay. So you have to just slightly cook it.
I've been putting frozen spinach in my smoothies.
Yeah, I mean, just check for kale that you're good.
Okay, just change for kale.
Yeah.
So kale, not spinach.
Spinach
What other ones? What else? What other ones do you need to cook?
Spinach, it's like
spinach is like the go-to one.
The go-to, yeah.
Sure. What about vegetables that you shouldn't steam?
I'm not gonna steam you shouldn't steam. I mean, you can steam all of those. Like you're just gonna have less nutrients.
That's true. I should have reworded that differently.
It's just like how can you make this more attractive to people to eat vegetables?
Okay,
it's better than having vegetable cooked.
Eat your vegetables.
Not having it all.
Whether they're steamed, whether they're raw, whether you put them in a smoothie. Just eat your damn vegetables.
That's it.
There you go. All right. Awesome. You answered that question. Last question. And this is a hot topic. I've been asked this question several times. People have thrown it my way. I've given my opinions, but I want to hear your opinions. It's super general, and you don't need to get too much into it. Just real, whatever you're thinking. What are your thoughts on the ketogenic diet?
Okay, that's a hot topic.
It's such a hot topic right now. I gotta ask.
Yeah.
I got people screaming at me right now. Ask Matheus about the keto diet.
What can I say? It depends on what sport you're into.
Okay.
Because when we look at low intensity, long distance sports like an ultramarathon, you're gonna use more fat than carbohydrates.
Yes.
So keto diet might be good for this person.
Yes.
So you just have to adapt this person first, and then you just don't do that like the week before your competition. Otherwise, you're just gonna fail so miserably.
So what about anaerobic? What about anaerobic sports?
No, anaerobic, that's physiology. It's like
yes, Matheus.
That doesn't work. Like obviously, it's the first in ATP-CP.
Yes, and that's what I've been arguing. So I'm glad that you support that. What about people outside of the sporting realm? What about just like general population taking the keto diet for fat loss or for just doing the keto diet? What do you think about that?
When you look at keto diet, low carb, high fat, Mediterranean diet, they all have one thing that is in common. It's a caloric deficit.
Yes.
So if you're eating less calories than you're spending, you're gonna lose weight. That's
just the way it is.
That's the way it is.
Yeah.
Of course, you have nutrients like you can eat like 2,000 calories of McDonald's, or you can eat like 2,000 calories of vegetables, lean protein.
Be a lot of vegetables, but
yeah. So you have to select your food choices.
Yes.
It's better for you to have like sweet potato or yams than having like just pasta.
Sure. Yeah.
So you need to be in a caloric deficit in order to lose weight. And that's what all the diets they have.
Whether it's keto, whether it's this. And this is something that I think that when people start a diet, whether it's keto, Atkins, whatever, name any of the diets that are out there, and then you lose weight, people think, oh, it's the diet, it's the keto diet. I lost weight because of the keto diet. It's like, well, did you? Or did you maybe just eat less food because you're being more conscious of what you put in your body, and maybe you started exercising as well at the same time because you're trying to be healthier?
You're changing behavior.
Yes. So is it really the keto diet, or is it whatever? And I say keto diet, but you can fill that in with any other diet out there. So no, that's great. That's what I wanted to hear.
It's just like people always try to look for something some miracle,
of course,
to change weight, especially weight that it's in diet that people have such a hard time trying to get into a diet and stuff like that.
Yes, yeah.
Diets they're good for a certain period of time. You can't be like in a keto diet forever.
No,
especially keto that is
keto strict, very strict. Yeah.
What you need is to change behavior. It's like, okay, I'm doing a low carb, high fat diet, but I need to change behavior. That's not a diet that it's gonna last like 3-4 months. That's like a change in my behavior, a change in my eating habits, and it has to last like your whole life.
Yes.
Yeah. And in order to do that, you can't be so strict. You need to have like your gaps to have like some chocolates.
Yeah, treat yourself.
Yeah, you need that.
Before burgers.
Yes. Why not? So just like you need to be at least like 80% of the time, 85% of the time eating healthy foods, and then you have like this 10-15% to, you know,
and eat your damn vegetables.
Eat your damn vegetable, guys. That's the main message here.
There it is. Nudges or not. All right, Matheus. Well, that's pretty much all I had for you. Thanks again so much for doing this. You're so knowledgeable. It's great to get all your knowledge out there. It's great to hear about your research, what you're doing, and where you're going. So I do appreciate it. We're gonna miss you.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss you guys too. It's been wonderful 2.5 years.
Yeah.
It's hard to forget about it. It's hard to believe that I'm leaving. So who knows? Maybe I'm back.
You'll be back.
Hopefully.
And if nothing else, we'll see you at the CSEP conference next year in Niagara Falls.
Yeah, just Niagara Falls.
Boom.
Best place.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody that's watching right now or listening in. Thank you so much. And yeah, that wraps up this episode of the KFit Show. I'm Kalen Anglos.
Matheus Mistura.
Thank you very much, guys. We'll talk to you guys next week.